Hello, in this video we're going to take a look at how to find the root cause of your anxiety. I'm a professional therapist and I've worked with many clients over the last few years to help them overcome their fear of driving. But what I'm going to tell you in this video will apply to any anxiety, phobia, fear. It even applies to things like weight loss, stopping smoking, insomnia, and a whole range of other issues. I'm going to explain how you can find the root cause of these issues, but I'm also going to explain a few common myths and misconceptions when it comes to the root cause. So first of all, what is the root cause? The root cause is what we call the originating thing that gave you the problem that you have. So let me give you an example when it comes to driving. When I work with someone who has a fear of driving, it's actually nothing to do with the driving. As I've said in many of my other videos, driving is a symptom. So driving is the way that your problem shows itself, but it's not the problem itself. What's happened is at some point in the past, you've had something happen which your mind has not liked and is associated with driving. So one example is somebody I worked with once who had a fear of driving because I hated driving in places that they didn't know. When we went back in their mind and found the cause of this, it was actually to do with the day they first started school. And a lot of people in the class were laughing at them because they just looked a bit different to the other kids. And that was what gave them a fear of driving. You see, their mind had taken the idea of other people laughing at them and judging them and thinking they look a bit different, they're a bit weird. But why would your mind associate that problem at school with driving? Well, that's just how it works. You see, this person's mind had got this fear that when they were standing up in this classroom in front of everyone introducing themselves, they felt panicked and they felt nervous. So their mind thought, hey, this is bad, I don't like this is making me feel really bad. So that means that whenever people are around me and looking at me, they're judging me. And what happens when you're out driving? Well, of course, you've got other people around you judging you, and their mind had just falsely linked these two things. When they were on the road and they were driving, they were having the same emotions or feelings as they had back at school. And that's because your mind can't tell the difference between the past, the present and the future. So if you think of something that happened 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, it still feels the same today as it did then, because to your mind, it's still that day. So that's what the root cause is. And for most problems, there will be a root cause which gave you that problem. Now I'll say most because this is where people go wrong. Not every problem is linked to a root cause, or if you believe it is, you can't always find the root cause. So this method will not solve any problem. There is no method that will always work for everyone all the time. And in my job as a therapist, that's one of the most demanding but exciting things. You have to constantly change the way you work with every single client you ever see. You don't just run everyone through the same process. So how do you find the root cause of your anxiety or other issue? You need to understand where the problem actually lives. Now your mind is split into two parts. You've got the conscious part, which is what you're using now. You're listening to what I'm saying, you're thinking. That's the side of your mind that we're all familiar with. But there is another side, which is a subconscious, or as some people prefer to call it, the unconscious. Now, the problem lives in the subconscious mind, and this is where many people go wrong. When you go for things like therapy through CBT or counselling, or when you just talk to a friend about your problems, this is why you can't fix them, and this is why you can't find the root cause. You see, you're looking in the wrong place. You're looking in the conscious mind, but the root cause lives in the subconscious mind. Think of it like having two shops next to each other, and one of them is a bakery and the other one is a car parts shop. You wouldn't walk into the bakery and ask to buy some spark plugs. You wouldn't walk into the car shop and ask to buy a loaf of bread because you're looking in the wrong place. So this is where hypnosis comes in. Now, hypnosis is probably one of the most misunderstood things in the world. It's not about somebody else controlling your mind. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis, so you can only ever hypnotize yourself. It's impossible to hypnotize someone else. It's impossible to take over their will and make them do things. That stuff is nonsense. When you see that in videos and on stage shows, it's just an illusion. It's an act. The hypnotist can make it look as though they have control, but they don't, because if you give anyone a suggestion and they don't want to do it, they won't do it. So hypnosis is nothing to worry about. When you start using it and realise how powerful and how easy it is to use, you'll wish you started using it years ago. All hypnosis really is a state of focus, that's all. It's nothing to do with dropping into a deep trance and being out of control and being a zombie. It's just a state of focus. I've made several tracks which I'll link to around this video where you can go through a hypnotic procedure with me that will take you back and allow you to find the root cause of your issue. I'd like to talk now about some truths and myths about hypnosis and regression. Now, regression is the technique we use to go back and find the root cause of problems. It simply means going back through your life in your mind and recalling certain events. One of the many misconceptions people have is that just finding the event will get rid of the problem. Unfortunately, it's not always that easy. Just finding the event is step one, but you have to do more with it than just find it. Sometimes, for some people, finding the root cause will release the problem, and that's because they automatically go through the following steps that come after that without even realising it. Sometimes people just think, oh, I found this memory, so that's to do with that, and oh yeah, and that, and blah blah blah, and they piece it all together, and then that's it, you've got a result. Very often what people find, first of all, is what we call the activating event. That's the thing that actually activated the problem. But before that, there can be another one called the sensitising event, which is the event that occurred that actually installed the problem. Think of it like the sensitising event is a bit like installing an app on your phone. The activating event is like activating the app. You can install an app, but it won't do anything until you actually activate it. Now, it can get even more complicated than that, because what can happen is that there can be more than one of either event, and it can be multifaceted, multiple parts of either event. There are many different theories on this, but simply it isn't always one thing. It's very, very often more than one thing. Another thing you need to understand is that not everyone is able to find either of these events. Sometimes I've worked with people and they just don't get this. They say, well, I can't find anything, I can't think of anything. There are many, many different methods that professional therapists use to regress people. There's one which is the most common called the effect bridge. The effect bridge will take you back instantly to the root cause of the problem. How we do this is something I won't go over fully in this video because it's already going to be long enough, and I can make many other videos talking about each one of these things. I hope you understand that you can't learn everything there is to know about the root cause just by watching one video. It's far too big a topic to just cram into one video. So this is an overview, and I will give you some links to my hypnosis tracks so you can have a go at going back and finding the root cause. But please be aware, just finding it won't always get rid of the problem. And I should warn you, if you just find the root cause and you don't handle it properly, you can actually make the problem worse because you can aggravate it. So I don't recommend doing this just on your own. If out of curiosity you really want to go back and find something from your past, it's great to do this. But I thoroughly recommend going over this with a professional trained therapist. There are things that can happen when you do regressions, which I'll give you a couple of examples of now. One of them is that people can actually go back too far And I've known people who've gone back into past lives. Now, are past lives real or not? I'm not going to give you my opinion just here, that's for another video. But many people believe we've all lived before. Some people believe that their problems come from a past life. That's what we call a past life regression. And yes, there is also the opposite, which is a future life regression, or as some people call it, a post-life regression. I can make separate videos on that, and there is even more than the past and the future. I wonder if any of you can guess what else there would be apart from a past life, a current life, and a future life, because yes, there is something else as well, but I'll save that for my video on past and future lives. Another thing that can happen, and is something well worth making a video about, is something called an abreaction. An abreaction is an abnormal reaction to hypnosis or trance or whatever you want to call it. This is nothing to worry about, and it only affects a very small number of people. I've been told you can go your whole career of 30 years as a hypnotherapist, and you may only have 1 or 2 abreactions, if that. I've heard stories of abreactions, and they are absolutely terrifying, so please be aware if you are thinking of doing a regression on your own. I don't recommend it. I recommend going for professional, trained help, because if you have an abreaction, you do not want to witness that. And if you're thinking, oh, it's funny, I'd love to see that. No, you wouldn't. You would not think it's funny if you see it. So I don't want to worry you, but you do need to understand there are things that you need to be careful of when you do this work. So I hope that's helped you to understand how you find the root cause of your anxiety. If you'd like to work with me one-to-one to find your cause, then you can click the links around this video to book a free call with me. I will have other videos like this coming in the future where I go over more different parts of therapy in depth, but that's all for now. So check out my other videos. Thanks for watching. Do remember to subscribe to my channel and follow me. And as always, I'll see you again soon for more videos.